Most of us grow up hearing the same thing about our eyesight, that blurry vision and cataracts are just part of getting older, something we're supposed to accept and deal with later. But if you've ever noticed glare from headlights at night, trouble reading fine print, or colors not looking as sharp as they used to, it can quietly raise a lot of questions. Is this normal aging, or is there more going on that no one really explains? The truth is, cataracts have become a much bigger conversation today than they were for previous generations. Not because people are doing something wrong, but because the way we live, work, and age has changed. Screens, longer lifespans, daily habits, and overall health all play a role in how our eyes feel over time. And understanding that can be surprisingly empowering. If any of this sounds familiar, take a moment and share in the comments. Have you noticed changes in your vision, or is this something you've been wondering about lately? Because once you understand what's really happening with your eyes and what actually supports long-term eye health, you may start looking at aging vision in a completely different way. And that's where things get interesting. Most of us don't think much about our eyesight until something feels different, a little more glare while driving at night, words that seem harder to focus on, or colors that don't look quite as bright as they used to. And when that happens, it's easy to brush it off with a familiar thought. This is just aging. This is normal. This is what happens to everyone eventually. But for many people, that quiet assumption carries a lot of worry underneath. Worry about independence, about quality of life, about what the future might look like if vision slowly changes. And that's exactly why conversations around eye health, especially cataracts, have become more important than ever. Cataracts are often talked about as an unavoidable milestone of getting older, almost like gray hair or wrinkles. In reality, they're a very common age-related change in the eye, but they don't exist in isolation. Modern health awareness has shown us that the way our bodies change over time is influenced by many overlapping factors. How long we live, how we work, how we eat, how much light our eyes are exposed to, and how well we stay connected to routine healthcare. That doesn't mean cataracts can be wished away or controlled at will, but it does mean they're part of a bigger picture of overall health rather than a sudden, mysterious event. One reason cataracts feel more visible as a topic today is simple. People are living longer. With longer lifespans comes more time for gradual changes in the body to show up, including changes in vision. Add to that the reality of modern life, where many of us spend hours each day looking at screens, switching between bright indoor lighting and darker environments, and relying on close-up focus far more than previous generations ever did. All of this has made people more aware of their eyes and more curious about what's happening behind the scenes. At the same time, there's been a shift in how health information is shared. People don't just want to be told that something is normal, they want to understand it. They want language that makes sense, explanations that don't feel intimidating, and reassurance that noticing changes doesn't automatically mean something is wrong. When it comes to cataracts, that understanding starts with knowing what the term actually means, without medical jargon or dramatic framing. In simple terms, a cataract refers to a gradual clouding of the eye's natural lens. That lens sits behind the colored part of the eye and helps focus light so we can see clearly. Over many years, proteins within that lens can slowly change and clump together, which affects how light passes through. The process is usually slow and often subtle at first. This is why early signs are commonly things like glare from headlights, halos around lights, needing brighter light to read, or feeling that colors aren't as vivid as they once were. These experiences can feel unsettling, but they're also very common topics of conversation in routine eye exams. Understanding this process can ease a lot of unnecessary fear. Cataracts don't appear overnight, and they don't mean your vision is suddenly failing. They're part of a spectrum of age-related eye changes that eye care professionals are very familiar with. Awareness isn't about self-diagnosing. It's about recognizing why regular eye checkups are so valuable, even when changes feel mild or gradual. Alongside this growing awareness, there's been increasing interest in how everyday lifestyle patterns relate to long-term eye health. Nutrition in particular often comes up in public health discussions, not as a cure or treatment, but as one piece of the overall wellness puzzle. Researchers have long studied how certain nutrients support different parts of the body, including the eyes, because vision relies on a steady supply of energy, oxygen, and protective compounds to function over time. What's important to understand is how this research is usually framed. Instead of focusing on single foods or miracle ingredients, most studies look at broader dietary patterns. Diets rich in fruits, vegetables, and a variety of plant-based foods naturally contain antioxidants, vitamins, and carotenoids that help the body manage everyday oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is a normal part of living. It's linked to metabolism, environmental exposure, and even breathing oxygen itself. The lens of the eye, like many tissues, is sensitive to these processes, which is why nutrition often appears in conversations about eye health support. This doesn't mean food replaces medical care or prevents specific conditions. Rather, it highlights how overall dietary quality supports general health, which in turn supports the systems that keep our eyes functioning comfortably. Framing nutrition this way keeps expectations realistic and grounded. It shifts the focus away from quick fixes and toward consistency, the kind that supports the body quietly over years, not days. Beyond diet, everyday habits play a surprisingly large role in how our eyes feel as we age. One of the most discussed topics today is screen use. Whether it's phones, computers, or televisions, extended screen time can contribute to eye strain, dryness, and visual fatigue. This doesn't cause cataracts, but it can make existing vision changes feel more noticeable. Public health conversations increasingly emphasize simple awareness, taking visual breaks, adjusting lighting, and being mindful of how long we focus at close distances. Spending time outdoors also comes up often in research discussions. Natural light exposure during the day helps regulate sleep patterns and overall circadian rhythm, which indirectly supports eye comfort and general well-being. It's another example of how the eyes don't operate separately from the rest of the body. They're connected to sleep, metabolism, and daily routines in ways we don't always think about. Then there's the role of regular eye exams, which remains one of the most consistent recommendations across all health guidelines. Eye exams aren't just about reading letters on a chart. They're about monitoring gradual changes over time. Many people are surprised to learn how much information eye care professionals can gather long before vision problems feel disruptive. This kind of monitoring allows conversations to happen early, when options and planning feel less stressful and more empowering. It's also worth acknowledging the emotional side of vision changes. For many people, eyesight is closely tied to independence. Driving, reading, working, recognizing faces, and enjoying hobbies. Even small changes can create anxiety, especially when there's uncertainty about what they mean. Normalizing these concerns matters. Feeling worried doesn't mean you're overreacting. It means your vision matters to you, and that's a healthy response. At the same time, it's important to balance concern with perspective. Cataracts are one of the most commonly discussed eye conditions worldwide, and they're well understood in medical care. Awareness and lifestyle support are not about avoiding professional guidance. They're about working alongside it. When people stay informed, keep up with routine checkups, and understand how daily habits connect to long-term health, decisions feel less overwhelming and more grounded. As conversations around healthy aging continue to grow, eye health is becoming a more open and practical topic, not something whispered about or dismissed as inevitable decline. This shift allows people to ask better questions, seek reliable information, and stay engaged with their health rather than feeling powerless. If you've ever noticed subtle changes in your vision or found yourself wondering what's normal and what deserves attention, you're certainly not alone. Many people have similar thoughts, but rarely talk about them openly. If this topic resonates with you, take a moment to share your experience or thoughts in the comments, whether it's something you've noticed personally or a question you've carried quietly for a while. Conversations like this help normalize awareness and remind others they're not navigating these questions by themselves. And as we continue, we'll look more closely at how everyday choices, routine care, and informed awareness come together to support eye health over time. Because understanding what's happening now can make a real difference in how confidently you look toward the future.